welcome to this TED Talk. Unfortunately, Ted was sick, so we're not going to hear TED Talk. Okay, on with the presentation. So the novel The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald is a story of the decay of society and of the American dream in the 1920s. The upper classes, those born into wealth, are portrayed as lazy and careless. For example, when Myrtle buys a dog, she has the elevator boy instead of her go and take care of it. She is so careless that the boy has to add, quote, on his own initiative, a tin of large, hard dog biscuits. Because she didn't think of that for herself. On the other hand, people who work hard to build up their own wealth, like Gatsby, can never truly reach what they desire, and are constantly judged by everyone else around them. In the end, Daisy, Tom, and Jordan are never punished for anything they do, while people like George Wilson and Gatsby suffer instead. Throughout the novel, the eyes of Dr. T.J. Eckelberg are portrayed watching over the characters. They are omnipresent from the beginning of the book to the very end. Fitzgerald often likens them to eyes of God watching over the characters, especially when Wilson stares at them near the end saying, God sees everything. But as Michaelis points out just a second later, that's only an advertisement. The static eyes of Dr. T.J. Eckelberg are the perfect analogy for God in this book. Both stand by watching everyone give their pleas for help, but either unwilling or unable to do anything about it. Fitzgerald also does a great deal of foreshadowing. In Chapter 2, for example, there are numerous references to the Palace of Versailles. This serves as a metaphor to the French Revolution, where royals and nobles sat complacent in palaces while the people struggled and starved, until eventually the nation collapsed into revolution. Fitzgerald is trying to paint a similar picture of 1920s America. Those born into wealth do nothing but drink and party all the time while ignoring the actual problems of the world. And that can only lead to a catastrophic collapse. The third chapter also foreshadows the ending of the book. In this chapter there are several situations involving situations with cars, crashes, accidents, stuff like that. So the first one is when two men crash a car, and neither of them seem to realize that they can't keep driving in the crashed car, because, it's missing a wheel, and you need all of those to drive. And the second time is also in Chapter 3, when Nick tells Jordan about her bad driving, and that she's a very careless driver. And Jordan just replies, well, I just hope I don't meet another careless driver. And, well, Jordan is not involved in the crash itself that kills Myrtle. It's clear foreshadowing that there will be a crash sometime later in the book, considering she says, I hope I never will. Finally, color is possibly the most prevalent symbol used throughout the novel. Gold is used to portray old wealth and high social class. Daisy is described as the golden girl. Jordan's arm and shoulder are both described as golden, and food and drink are constantly described as golden. Yellow, on the other hand, is similar to gold, but it doesn't have the same rich quality, so you could consider it fake gold. And that's pretty much exactly what the book uses it as. Yellow is used to portray new, fake wealth, and that's wealth that was earned in this current generation, not from generations past. So this is especially used with Gatsby because he came into his new wealth. And so for Gatsby, there are tons of things that are yellow, most especially his car is yellow, and that's brought up again and again. And the other major color symbol that's used throughout the book is green. So green is used to describe dreams, unattainable dreams, and tragedy. So the first and most obvious use of green is the green light on the dock at the Daisy's house um, that Gatsby stares at, and he kind of makes it a symbol of Daisy, and that's his dream that he can't attain, and that ultimately ends in tragedy for him. And then the other use of green is in the car that kills Myrtle. It's Gatsby's yellow car, but all of the witnesses describe it as green, which kind of shows how the color is more important to symbolism than it is to realism. So it matters more the color if it's a symbol of something than if that was the actual color. So The Great Gatsby is really an objective portrayal of life in the 1920s. It wasn't as good as it seemed, and Fitzgerald knew that. So he used a great deal of symbolism, foreshadowing, and stuff to show that America was headed for a crash. And he also made a pretty good story in the process.